It's Visual Journal Friday. If you'd like to know more about visual journaling, what it is, how it's different than keeping a regular sketchbook, how I use it with my students, how I think it could be helpful for you as an artist to grow, then check out my more in-depth description in episode 1 of the Visual Journal Friday series. Also, you can check out my blog post where I go into a lot of detail about it. I will have that link in the description below. Happy Visual Journal Friday number 2. This book is my second visual journal ever. I started it in the year 2008 and finished it in 2010. So this one also, because it was one of my first, took me a little longer than they do now. I tend to go summer to summer with all my visual journals now. This one took a little longer, not as long as the first one, but it took a while. You can see that this is a fatty and that it has not fared well over the years. It is sort of falling apart. I've tried to tape it back together as much as I can, but there's lots of good stuff in here. I was really playing around with just how much media I could pack into my visual journals. So on the front, it was originally this denim fabric, and then I painted on it, I drew around the edges, I glued on a patch of Texaco. My grandfather was a truck driver for Texaco Gas, and so I just have stuff like that. This is a little piece of mat board with a doodle on it that I glued on there, and this is a little image from darkroom photography class that I was teaching at the time. This really cool thing is drawn upside down because originally I used this book for a typography class. I did not draw this. It is amazing though. A friend that I made in the class drew this. 203 crew, don't feed the squirrels. And I don't know what that says. But he was a pretty awesome artist and a pretty cool guy that I took that class with. And he drew this in the back of the book, and the front of the book, which is now the back of this book upside down, has a bunch of typography notes in it. Okay, so I glued some envelopes in the front and I have stuffed things in it. This is the song I'll Fly Away. I have a feeling that this was probably in a funeral packet. My grandmother died about this time, so this is probably for my grandmother's funeral. And what is in here? We have a bunch of cut paper. Looks like random things that don't necessarily need any explanation. That is a cartoon that my son watched on PBS. What was it called? Super Y. Letters. That probably spell, oh yeah, it spells out my name. Courtney. An assignment that I painted over. This is some notes on my kiln and just keeping track of firings at first because it was a new kiln to me and I was just making sure that I was able to predict how it was going to behave. Here's some notes on a glaze fire, second glaze fire, more notes on Journal Fodder Junkies because again, this is only my second book. Notes might be from a second workshop that I attended of theirs. I was trying to learn to teach my students this approach, so notes on that. to-do list, then I arted over it growth. This is probably part of a annual activity that I do with my students that I learned from the Journal Fodder Junkies, where you take these shapes and you rank them, and then you learn what the underlying meaning is of the shapes, and then you journal on that. Subconsciously, you learn what you have prioritized in your life: growth, relationships, stability, and so on. And then you can sort of maybe see what subconsciously you're focusing on at this time in your life. It's a meaningful activity. This is attractive. I don't know. This is out of a magazine. I didn't draw that. Same here. I just glued them in. IllustrationFriday.com, community, craftsmanship, creativity. Some doodles. This is a packaging tape transfer of a leaf. I was probably trying to demonstrate how to do that to my students, and so I just taped it in there over top of what looks like some lesson planning. Summer to-do list with Liam. Rubbings. The purpose of the visual journal is to record the process of your art making, sketch and plan assignments, experiment with media, write about feelings and ideas, connect concepts and ideas, a place to hold your research, express your feelings, keep samples of artists' work, your responses. Use when you've got a great idea, use when you haven't got any ideas, use when you're bored, use when you're afraid to ruin your real work, use when you're afraid to try something new, use to explain your philosophy on life, use to explain your personal politics. Act 1, Scene 1. So every year I help out with the set for our senior play in the spring, so that was probably the beginnings of me planning some stuff out. This is actually a piece of metal. I tend to find things on the floor in the classroom, and if they appeal to me, I'll just glue them into my book. And this was a piece of mat board and a piece of metal that I glued into my book. Photocopy on acetate of a piece of book that I think is probably some scraps from another artwork I was doing at the time. Words for prompts: pretend, covered up, contained, pale, climbing. Probably just ideas for things I could tell my students to prompt them to draw. More notes on the kiln function. Ooh, this looks like notes on travel for a spring break. 2009, at the beach with a couple other couples that spring break. Every year I teach linear perspective to my kids, and that probably was just inspired by that lesson. Bye Bye Birdie was the play that year, so that's what that is. Just a calendar, that's that. This is a handout that I give my students about left brain versus right brain thinking, which I know is not really legit science, but it does help to teach how to draw from observation. And here is a drawing from observation. This is a drawing I did of my student Shaquana at the time. I wonder where she is and what she's doing now. This was a long time ago. This was 10 years ago. No, wait, 2005. This was, gosh, this was a long time ago. Whew. I forget how old I am sometimes. My parents gave me some old storm windows off of an old farmhouse that they had at the time. And I guess, notes about what I could do with those storm windows. Random collage, random drawing. One of my favorite artists is Alberto Giacometti, and I would say that that's definitely inspired by him. Trying to do some transfer, and I see admiringly that I actually was able to transfer without flipping the words. So I must have actually flipped the words when I printed it and then transferred it, because that is not how it should happen. Book page. I don't do a lot of altered book stuff, and I know that some people feel strongly about destroying books, but our library tends to sometimes give us books because they're gonna throw them out. They're just so old. Our school library, they got books from the 70s that nobody checks out anymore, so I have been given some. This is a little transparency image that I drew. Growth. It was all about growth this year, apparently. Here's a page, I believe, with some stream of consciousness writing about that. And this down here says, why do these people not feel like they are living a lie? I'm seeing keywords in there that makes me not want to read that out loud. Let's just say that I have struggled with some concepts and issues over the years. This is just probably another, it's an abstract collage mixed media. This is like some foam and a feather, some sandpaper. There's some little bits of mirror. This is more of that metal, more sandpaper over here. That's just paint. Got some hot glue going on in there, some stamping. I like it. It's pretty nice. Well done, old Courtney. Younger Courtney. Aw, Liam's first artwork. June 17th, 2009. He was born in December of 2007, so I guess he was about 1.5 years here. That's sweet. I don't know what that is. Oh my God. He's so cute. So I have an artwork in my house that has something similar. This is definitely, again, in the style of Alberto Giacometti. I will try to put an image in from my house to show you what resulted from that sketch, because I did end up making an artwork based on some of this. This is actually a drawing from a photograph of a sculpture of Alberto Giacometti's in an art gallery. More doodles of Alberto Giacometti. Also just playing around with washes to age the paper. I put these safety pins on here to sort of hold the fold, and then I even painted them with some rusty colored watercolor to look like rust, but that's not rust, like rust running. Giacometti's proportions, 9.5 heads, I have written here. Longer torso, longer legs, very narrow shoulder and hips, huge feet and hands. More notes like that. I've put in a little pocket here with an origami star. There's a piece of film in here, as well as what looks like a pinhole camera print. Pinhole camera prints are so cool. That's from the parking lot at our school. There's, I don't know if you can see, but I can see the fire escapes and some cars parked there. Pretty cool. I was developing a lesson where the kids drew a head with basic features, and then they would dress the head up in various ways and make it a bunch of different, like a bunch of different personalities, like a multiple personality sort of thing. So it would be them, but all their different selves. And it looks like, some say love it is a river that drowns the tender reed. That is The Rose, which is a beautiful, beautiful song played by, I first fell in love with Bette Midler singing it, but of course Janis Joplin sang it first. So I've got 2 of my ladies and then a couple more here. Again, just working on a lesson plan. I don't think that one ever came into fruition. I don't do that on a regular basis. I don't remember ever doing it actually with my students. Well, there's a little doodle of an angel. You'll be my angel. I can read your eyes, but I confess it's lonely far from you, even when you're right by me. Why do I beg like a child for? That's a Dave Matthews song. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Won't be quiet. Won't you quiet down? Be constructive. Be constructive. Won't you quiet down? Won't you quiet down? I don't know what that is. Is that from something, or was I just talking to myself? A little handout from my second visit with the Journal Fodder Junkies that I just glued in here to be helpful. They are so good at what they do. Yeah. Express yourself. Don't go for second best, baby. Put your love to the test. You know you got to make him express how he feels, and maybe then you know his love is real. Express yourself. Hey, 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 hey. Sorry, I can't sing. Tree. Snowflake. Window cutouts. If I threw my guitar out the window so far down, would I start to regret it, or would I smile and watch it slowly fall? That's a Cake song. And that is a transfer of the Joker. And that's another spiral, because I like spirals. Aw, there's that tree again. And this is a transfer of a tree. And here I've glued in like some brown paper bag paper. I guess just playing around with decoupage and texture. This is an old picture. This was older than the book. That's my husband. And we used to go to this bed and breakfast. So we lived in Greensboro, which is where I grew up. Moved around a lot, but ended up back in Greensboro. Met my husband there. We fell in love with Western North Carolina and came out to the Asheville area for weekend getaways, camping trips, bed and breakfast, weekends, whatever. And we stayed at this one bed and breakfast, and as we were leaving, they're like, you gotta go to this geyser. And it wasn't really a geyser. They just had set up a high pressure pump to spew this water out. And so, I don't know. Anyways, we went there and they turned the geyser on, and it created this cool rainbow, and my husband's pointing at it. So I don't know if that's in there. Okay, so I did preview this book before I started videoing, and I saw this envelope and it was sealed, and I couldn't help myself, but it says, do not open until you arrive. And I feel like I've arrived in life. I mean, I feel like I'm settled. I got a family, I got 2 kids that are well on their way. I have a career that's half over. I mean, I feel pretty much like a veteran teacher at this point. I have a successful art career outside of class. I feel like I've made a name for myself. So I couldn't help myself but open this. It was sealed shut. I just opened it right before I hit record. And I pulled this out, and it's some poetry from, I guess, the same book that this came from. And I looked it up, and I didn't recognize the author, but it says, on his 75th birthday, I strove with none, for none was worth my strife. Nature I loved, and next to nature art. I warmed both hands before the fire of life. It sinks, and I'm ready to depart. On death is the second poem here. It says, death stands above me, whispering low. I know not what into my ear. Of his strange language all I know is there is not a word of fear. So, I don't know, it's pretty dark, but I guess I was telling myself that once I've arrived, I'll be contented. And then the one that is glued here on the page that was to be read before I arrived, I guess. Mother, I Cannot Mind My Wheel. So this author is Walter Savage Landor. I have also written the stream of consciousness thing here. At the time, it looks like it's talking about a lot of rain and how it is depressing me and how I was scared driving around town. That is the third time I drew that same tree in this book. That's strange. So here I'm developing this tree lesson plan for how it could work in with my national board certification entries. So this would be for entry number 1, a portrait of teaching over time. Notes, trees. Notes about the same thing. I guess at one point I was going to draw that and decided not to finish it. That's sort of sad. More notes about that. More notes about that. Boring. That is the same multiple personality head from the beginning, but I decided to make Medusa, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. So each one of those snakes has been drawn with pen, and then it looks like maybe a combination of watercolor and acrylic. Pretty cool. Ooh, this feels fun. That feels like some gauzy tissue paper. I don't know, it's all wrinkly. And then there's notebook paper underneath. Definitely just playing around with media, gluing. So there's regular lined notebook paper, and then this weird accordion paper. And then that's acrylic paint, stickers, star stickers. That is a transfer, which also became one of my old farmhouse storm window artworks. I will show it right now in this video. There you go. Playing around with hot glue and watercolor washes. That looks pretty cool. Ink. You can see here I have tried to tape this book together. It's falling apart. That's just a handout that I have the kids learn to mix watercolor with. That is a flyer from a symposium program that we do every year. This year it was on Habitat for Humanity, which was pretty cool. Jellyfish. I did another window. The third window I did had jellyfish in it. This was a response to the movie, is it 4.5 Pounds or something? What is the name of that movie with Will Smith about the brain transplant? He had a giant aquarium with jellyfish in it in his house. It just seemed so symbolic to me at the time. I almost got a tattoo of jellyfish because of it. But I ended up making artwork. I will show that artwork here. There's the artwork. I did a fourth window as well, but I sold it, and I don't know if I have any images of the fourth window. It was a series of 4 windows. I sold 1. Crazy Happy. History of my school. These are some notes about Little Abner, again, working on the set. This was also working on ideas for the poster. Just some more mixed media stuff. Got Xerox copy, image transfer over top of it. Got some acrylic paint. Looks like some that's Collage. I just want to be happy. I have struggled with depression throughout my life, not nonstop, but little snippets here and there. From the time I was 9, in college, after my first child was born. So not predominantly through my life, but definitely like probably 4 clear instances of depression in my life. So some of my stuff seems dark, and that is just because that is a therapeutic way for me to deal with some of it. This, I think, also had to do with National Board. There was going to be some artwork that had to mail in, and I was just playing around with some ideas. Yeah, so, yeah. Mixed media, collage, abstract, sort of dark. Centennial State, Rough Rider State, Mount Rushmore State. I guess I was just making a page about the country. I'm playing around with layers and transparency. It's a postcard from an art show that I've participated in through the Arts Council. Art Teachers Create. Says, why so sad so quick? That's how it happens. Pretty quick. 10 ways to good health. I was at a Japanese restaurant with my husband. No, it was Champa. It was a Thai restaurant. And the teacup actually had this on it. It said, less alcohol, more tea, less meat, more vegetables, less salt, more vinegar, less sugar, more fruit, less eating, more chewing, less words, more action, less greed, more giving, less worry, more sleep, less driving, more walking, less anger, more love. It had worn off. That's pretty meaningful, and I definitely took it to heart, and over the years I have cleaned up my act a lot, and it has helped a lot. I'm not going to read that. It's not about weed. It's about not feeling good about yourself. That was t-shirt design for our art club that year here at the school. Just another mixed media thing. This is actually like window screening, and then I sort of framed it with a watercolor piece, and I wrote some words and a flower, and it looks cool, and I don't think it has a lot of deep meaning. That is a chemical transfer. That is some collage of someone else's artwork, and then I made art around it. Oh, we went and saw Wicked, and this is just some stuff I pulled out of there. I saw Alvin Ailey at some point in school. We went on a field trip and saw the dance troupe Alvin Ailey, and it was life-changing. Oh my God, so amazing. I can't dance, but it was beautiful. And since then, we managed to have the opportunity to take our children to Atlanta to the Fox Theater to see the Alvin Ailey troupe there. Oh gosh, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was awesome at the time. Stuff. there you go. There's a page about Wicked. I try to discourage my students from using their visual journals as like scrapbooks, but sometimes you gotta have a page about memories, so whatever. Again, probably inspired by the Alvin Ailey thing. It says, I know I'm strong on the inside, but now I'd like to work on making it obvious. I'd like to make it obvious from the outside. Obvious. Damn. I feel like I have achieved that. At this point, after having my son, I was not exercising as much as I should, and now I over the years I got into jiu-jitsu for a while. I've gotten into yoga. I got into yoga before jiu-jitsu, and I'm back into yoga now. I feel strong. I feel good. I feel healthy. Stuff. It's just stuff. Thoughts. He that will enjoy the brightness of the sunshine must quit the coolness of the shade. Focus on the positive. Attitude of gratitude. And then this, I can tell, this is hitting back to where this book was originally my typography book, so I'll flip it because this is upside down. Just looking at logos like Volkswagen, Audi, that is a logo I was working on for a friend. That's our Christmas card. 38. I don't think I was 38 at the time. I don't know what the number 38 is all about here. And that's just about exercise and being healthy again. Stuff. Sidewalk Chalk Art. Sidewalk Art Festival. Notes, thoughts, go down. Old typography stuff. Just some logos that I drew. The After Hours Club. 2 different ideas for something called the After Hours Club. Several different logos for Engine Lunch 49 Club. Engine 49 Lunch Club. Designing with type. Typography with syntax. This is all typography notes from. That was some. We were supposed to work on. What is that called? Manuscript letter. The illuminated. This is supposed to be like illuminated manuscript lettering. I guess that the W would be my husband, Wolf. I'm not sure why I messed with an S. Although he wasn't my husband at the time. Was he? Cute little envelope. Made that out of, I guess, a magazine page. And it's like pop-up art. Cool. There's more of the manuscript lettering. Oh, wow. Can you see that? And I wrote, what befalls the earth befalls all the sons of the earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man does not weave this web of life. He is merely a strand of it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. Chief Seattle. We real cool. Gwendolyn Brooks. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. That's awesome. I love that. So when I was previewing this was a little unnerving that I have this bucket list, and here we are, how many years later? Like 14 years later, and I have not accomplished but maybe 2 things on this list. But I will tell you that I think my priorities have changed. I don't feel like a lot of these matter to me anymore. But you know, a lot of this was done before the market crashed. Back then in 2008 or 2009, we thought we were going to be all right, but you know, we made do, but we're not where we thought we would be. So a lot of these things are just not important anymore after you realize that you're lucky to keep your house, put food on the table, you know what I'm saying? Be a member of a live studio audience, become passably good in at least one sport again. I mean, I got good at yoga, and I did all right with jiu-jitsu for a while. Send a message in a bottle, sit on a jury. I have never been called to jury duty. Build a pond in the backyard. Hydropolis underwater Lux Hotel in Dubai. Shower in a waterfall. Ugh, I don't even like being cold anymore, so no. Write down my personal mission statement and follow and revise it from time to time. I mean, I think these visual journals are my mission statement, so therefore, fine, yes. Find inner peace, yes. Experience weightlessness, no. Write a will, no. Vacation at a 5-star spa. Build a library to hold our books, what? And so on. Whatever. I mean, half of those I don't even care about anymore, so that's fine. Stuff. Right. Great. And this is the end of the book. There's a picture of me and with my cute baby, who's not a baby anymore. All right. So this was started in 2009 and retired. No, it started in 2008, retired in 2010. So good job with me. More stuff I found on the floor. Velcro, duct tape, masking tape, painter's tape. This is just the book cover. This is gold paint, and this is another piece of metal that I found. So that's book number 2. I hope you enjoyed it. That was a long one, but there was a lot in there. Let me know what y'all think. And join me in a couple of weeks for book number 3. Bye. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Click the bell icon in order to get more notifications. And don't forget to check out my paintings and my merch like this shirt on seahorseart.com. Bye.